All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're waiting for some people to trickle in, but I just wanted to say hello. This is Dr. Pedram Shojai of well.org. It shows me as Wendy Chalk because Wendy's my right hand, and turns out now I am just Wendy. And I want to introduce you to Reed Davis, who is a good buddy and a real mover and shaker in the industry, teaching people how to learn some of these functional tests and the diagnostics that go into them. So Reed, hello and welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pedram. It's such a pleasure to be here with the well.org gang. I've been also a member and getting all my newsletters and fascinating things that you're doing. And you are the mover and shaker. I'm just another player on the field, man.
No, man, we're out there doing a tango. So here's why I really wanted to share you with our audience is because over the course of the last couple years, as I've gotten more into the online world and less, face-to-face with patients and less time actually, calling on labs and looking at people in the way I would as a functional medical, professional, what I'm realizing is people's doctors just aren't working them up right. People are, spending millions and millions of dollars collectively, billions collectively in the system, and they're just not getting better. And so this functional diagnostic education, this functional diagnostic stuff that is relatively new, I guess, in terms of like kind of mainstream medicine, but we know people that have been practicing it for some time now, is helping people. And so it's just shocking to me how many of our tribe, audience, whatever you want to call them, just is being poorly managed and doesn't understand what's going on with them because their doctor doesn't know where to look. And then also how many people that are kind of in the health and wellness space don't have this type of training, and how much more effective they would be if they did. So that's kind of the reason for the party here. And I would love for you to just kind of roll up your sleeves and show us what's up on it, because people need to know this stuff.
Fantastic, Doc. It's, again, a real pleasure, and I totally understand what you're saying about it. So I am going to just jump in. I hope everyone has a pen and pencil ready, because I might give you a couple things worth jotting down there. And so I want to give you first just a little bit about why you might want to listen. I've been a clinical nutritionist for many, many years, 15 years. Prior to that, I was in environmental law, but I started working with a wellness center in Southern California that was very, very busy. And of course, I love what I do, and I really want to help a lot of people. I ran over 11,000 tests on men, women, and their children, mostly women at first, but then they brought their husbands and their kids in. And so I was able to make my own observations about who was getting better, what they were doing, and of course, who didn't. And it should be no surprise to anyone on this broadcast that the people working closest to the underlying cause, well, they're the ones who actually restored health and were able to get out of the cycle of just chasing symptoms and treating symptoms only, which is such a prevalent thing. That's what you were alluding to earlier. So I developed what I now call Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. So it's functional diagnostic laboratory work, but only holistic lifestyle based. We're pretty much non-drug, non-surgery type things, and that's why almost any professional can do this work. Now, I also put all of our protocols that we worked on. Again, when you do thousands and thousands of people, you try a lot of things. So I put together a very successful protocol program called Dress for Health Success. It's diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. So more about that in a few minutes. What I'm trying to say to everyone is I've run thousands and thousands of labs on people and figured out what works so that you don't have to go through that same learning curve, which, again, it was a lot of fun, but, I put it all together, and that's what we're going to take a look at. Now, what doctors are saying about this program is that it integrates perfectly with anyone who wants to just live a healthy lifestyle. But if you're personal training and health coaching, chiropractic offices, which is where I worked, it was mostly chiropractic and acupuncture, and of course our nutrition program. But naturopathy, any natural health discipline, and that's for just the average person who's suffering and isn't getting help anywhere else. But let's say someone does have a medical condition. We're the perfect holistic grounding program for anyone with those kind of things. And so it just integrates so well. Now I have to admonish a little bit and say this is not a medical approach. Medical treatment is for specific diseases or diagnosis, and or just treating the symptoms, of course. Instead, what we do is work in a very non-specific manner, or just say non-specific, on restoring everything. So instead of working on something specifically, which would be practicing medicine, we work on everything non-specifically, restoring function, cleaning up inflammation, toxicity, interferences, whatever it might be, to return a person to normal health. The labs work are what identify those opportunities. So medical treatment, as you well know, depends mostly on drugs and surgery. We depend instead on lifestyle modification, natural therapies, including our Dress for Health Success system. We coach up vital reserve. Every cell in your body wants to be healthy. We know how to coach that up, while we might coach down the interferences and things. So this is methods that I developed over a 15-year period now that has helped thousands of people to get well, stay well naturally, and also helped me build one of the most successful practices in North America. We've helped thousands of people. We're the people's people. So I'm going to introduce you to this FDN, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and you might decide by the end of tonight, we're going to spend a whole hour together. I'm going to roll through it fast. You might decide at the end that you're ready to do FDN on yourself, or actually learn to do this as a profession. Add it to your professional repertoire. And you don't have to develop or invent anything. Just duplicate what's already proven to work for me and lots of other people. So this is what I found out. People walking in the office, Doc, and you know this, they want to know basically three things. Do you know what's wrong with me? Can you help me? Have you helped others like me? They're saying to us that, look, I'm tired of the runaround. And I've been to physicians who only practice the allopathic kind of medicine, and all they do is treat the symptoms. So do I know what's wrong with you? Yes, I've discovered that every symptom is based on a malfunction or interferences. So that's what's wrong with you. Can I help you? Of course. We're the health detectives. We use the little labs to identify healing opportunities and restore function, and symptoms seem to disappear. Now, I'll prove that to you in just a minute. So yes, I can help you if you're willing to do the work. And have helped others like you. Of course I have. Tens of thousands now have been helped, not just by me, but because I've been teaching this all over the world for the last 6 years. It's really amazing what's going on. And so I know that's also why you and I hit it off, because you're worldwide, and it's just amazing what we can do to do a little good in the world. So people come in the office, have those questions, and this is what's wrong with them. Now, if you are a, let's say, a health seeker listening to this, ask yourself if you have one or more of these. And if you're a health coach of any kind, then ask yourself, do you have any clients with these kind of things? These are all chronic stress-related disorders. That's what you and I can be the most effective. We can do the most good in the world by dealing with these things, which do have underlying causes. So I'm not going to read all the stuff there, but it's a lot of conditions that are walking in your office every single day. And you might even suffer from some of these things yourself. So what we're going to do is show you that you've got choices. And I love to say this. This is just really such a neat thing. You can opt in now to a self-care model. And I know people are probably saying they know who that guy is. That's Jack LaLanne, who lived well into his 90s in great shape. You can opt in now to a self-care model like a lot of people are doing. Or guess what? If you don't, you're going to be forced in later to a disease care model. You know, everyone listening would agree that healthcare today is really disease care, the way it's generally practiced in the bigger model. And so you can opt in to one now, or you can be forced into the other one later. So what people are saying, again, this first question, you know, can you help me? I'm sort of tired of the runaround. It looks something like this. They go to a typical physician who's not trained in functional medicine and getting to the root cause. Everything looks normal. The typical CBC chem panel that you might be run, it looks normal. So if blood work looks normal, does that mean all your problems are in your head? Absolutely not. Are headaches just an aspirin deficiency? It's a joke. Fatigue, is that caffeine or stimulant deficiency? You know, certainly not. And of course, you know, sleeplessness isn't because your house has an Ambien shortage, you know. The truth is that the symptoms aren't the problem. They're just the result of the problem, which is all the dysfunction. So tonight I'm going to show you something very neat. The other thing I want to mention here is a lot of people doing a lot of really good work. So you might have gone to the physician because you have health concerns, and he says, well, your blood work looks normal. Go do some diet and exercise. And you personal trainers and health coaches and nutritionists and chiropractors and acupuncturists, you know that diet and exercise are not always enough. Certainly they might move a person along, but people who are eating perfectly come to us with health problems. They're eating great food. They're also exercising regularly and wondering, why am I so fit on the outside but not feeling very well on the inside? And I'm going to show you how that works. So diet and exercise are not always enough. Medical doctors aren't giving the answers. And you're kind of left with this trial and error system. There's lots of home remedies. There's modalities for hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, all kinds of systems. And they might work some of the time with some people. It might have worked for your aunt or uncle or your brother or sister or the lady down the street. But you're trying them and they're not working on you. And people, in my experience, Doc, I know you'll agree with this, right? They don't abide by trial and error. They don't want to just keep trying one thing or another.
People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I mean, it's just, it's a joke going to a doctor, waiting 45 minutes in a waiting room to spend, 3-4 minutes being told there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, it's offensive to so many people I talk to.
Ah, man, it's just, that's the common day-to-day thing. Now, another thing I'll just add in, and I don't want to run out of time. I have an awful lot to cover, but some of these remedies and there's some companies out there selling products and doing a lot of things, and I'm always asking this question: whose purpose is being served by that product? Because you could go into different places and try some of their stuff, and it's really about them and their stuff, and they're sort of paying their rent, which look, I got to pay mine too, but I mean the purpose really has to be, what does this person need? So that's a question I'm always asking about some of those things you find out there. Now, this is what the cycle looks like to me. People are suffering. They have whatever it is, chronic fatigue. They got headaches and sinuses and allergies and moodiness and irritability and anxiety and depression. They have, again, not sleeping, no energy, lots of extra weight, skin problems, joint, muscles, you name it. So they go to their physician, and believe it or not, they're getting that everything looks normal. Your blood works fine. Go do diet and exercise, or try some modality, and that's that trial and error thing. So they leave the doctor's office, and they might come to you as a health professional, and you go through your stuff. Now, when that doesn't work, what do? Do you try to send them back to the doctor? They don't want to go to the next doctor. They're going to go down the street and find someone else with a different sort of diet plan, a different way of exercising, and other modalities. More trial and error with supplements and all the different things. They might go on the internet. If you type in nutrition in the internet, you're going to get about 20 million hits. It's really ridiculous. So they'll go from one practitioner to the next practitioner to the next practitioner. Dr. Pedram, tell me, how many times has someone said you're the 5th person I've seen or the 8th person I've seen, and they're not getting any results?
Sometimes I'm lucky if I'm still that high on the totem pole. They get kicked around for years sometimes before they get to a guy like me.
Oh yeah, so it could be they've seen 30 people and spent $20,000 or whatever it might be. But this is what we realized when I was doing all the sort of R&D on this 15 years ago at the Wellness Center for a period of 8-9 years. So people are tired of the going from one practitioner to another. So with modalities, there is a gap between that and going to see the next guy that you can fill or get filled if you are, again, a health seeker. We fill the needs gap and stop the trial and error cycle. It meets the needs of people struggling with health problems but who haven't got them met in their current health efforts. We really are a type of detective work that seeks to identify and correct the hidden causes and conditions that lead to the client's health complaints. Again, instead of just treating symptoms. It's an amazing, big, huge area, and I think everyone gets that. This graphic should work. Now, so instead of chasing those symptoms, what if you had a step-by-step intake procedure that allowed you to assess underlying causes and conditions? What if? That would be amazing, because you could help a lot of people. Now, you also would have to have a method of correlating those test results with the client's health complaints. So you're not running testing for testing's sake. You have to find some, and Dr. Pedram would be very familiar with clinical correlation. You match up to what the tests say. That's a critical step that's left out in a lot of practices. And that will validate your recommendations for therapeutic, holistic therapeutic protocols. And by the way, and Dr. Pedram would tell you this, it helps your client, or it would help you, if you're a health seeker, to be compliant, to actually follow the recommendations. When you see it in black and white, kind of what's wrong with you, it becomes a lot easier to follow these habits and lifestyle things that we want to have you do. And those recommendations have to be potent, they have to be proven, they got to be, professional in a way. And obviously drug-free is the only way I go. So those drug-free protocols help clients improve health instead of just treating their symptoms. You're going to hear me say that a lot. So no, it's not just education. I don't sell an info product. It's a transformational product, and that's the key differences. And you'll see how that works coming up. And I'm going to give you a case study. Again, I'm trying to get through this because I have so much that I want to share. But let's go to the number one cause of health concerns. It's really stress. Remember, I gave you that long list, and I said these are chronic stress-related conditions. Health and Natural Journal reported that 8 out of 10 doctor's visits are for stress-related illnesses, and half of all illnesses are actually caused by stress, according to a lot of research. But is all stress bad? He asks. Well,
absolutely not.
Yeah, there's actually different kinds of stress. There's distress, and then there's eustress. Now, when a butterfly gets the urge, it's all in its cocoon and it wants to bust out. That's a form of stress. The sun is shining on a flower and making it, the seed, pop up out of the ground and bust the dirt away. That's a form of stress. It's called eustress. It's a good thing. Now, this happens to be a picture of my 30-year-old son 2 miles up in the air in a free fall. I was the next guy out of the plane after the photographer that took this. But I want to tell you that this to us was eustress. Now, it's really interesting when I am in front of a live audience, I raise hands if you think this is eustress. All the guys go, yeah, that's eustress, man. It's good. But I want to tell you, when his mother saw this picture, it was distress. It just scared the heck out of her. So anyway, that's really important to understand. Not all stress is bad. Now, there's this big organ up in your skull, and it allows you to think and does a whole lot of other things. I was going to ask you, Pedram, but I already put the answer up there. It's the brain. And the brain is connected to the body in different ways. It is connected and it communicates with the body through the blood, through the nervous system, and through energy. And this is really critical to get, that the brain communicates with the body in different ways, and the purpose is function. So whether it's your heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, adrenals, ovaries, testes, if you got them, whatever it is, function is the key. And you're designed darn well. I'm not a pure vitalist, but I believe that every cell in your body knows what its job is. You don't have to teach cells what to do. They know. So that's how you're designed. And if you are functioning 100% normally, that would put you in a state of ease or homeostasis. And, I will ask, would you be healthy functioning normally in a state of ease?
Yes,
absolutely. Now, we didn't practice this. Dr. Pedram just would say that, man, that's it. Now, that's what normal is, by the way. So you're going to see in a minute, some people try to tell you that bad things are normal. They're not normal. Now, is that how people come to us? No. They don't come functioning normally in a state of ease. They come with symptoms. That's what brings them in the front door of the office or has them call you on the phone or whatever it might be. And so, but we just said, well, wait, you're functioning normally in a state of ease. How could you have symptoms? Healthy people don't have symptoms. Well, obviously then something must be wrong, and we call it disease. That's where the word disease comes from. But how could you have disease? Well, you've got to have malfunctions. So what you see here on the diagram is that malfunction is not normal. You're less than firing on all cylinders, let's say. Some cell, some group of cells, organ, tissue, something is malfunctioning, leading to disease. That's when the symptoms occur. And you need to get this. They're the last thing to occur. So when you have them, things were already going wrong for a while. And symptoms are common. They are not normal. So don't let anyone tell you you've got normal headaches or normal sinuses or normal allergies or whatever it might be. And so people come seeking relief. And that's okay. No one likes pain and suffering. The first thing most practitioners do, even nutritionists, they kind of know little tricks to get rid of there's herbs and there's supplements and there's homeopathics and there's lots of ways. And physicians, of course, like to get at the prescription pad. And that's not always a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that all it does is get rid of the symptoms. And then what is the ultimate symptom removal? Let's say drugs aren't working. Well, there's always cut the parts out. And no one on this call wants that. I would venture to say we all want a little relief, but if you're willing to do some work, guess what you have to do? If you really want to address the disease, there's somewhere we need to go. Because the symptoms are simply a signal that something's wrong. No symptoms normal. They could go away or decrease with that relief care, but they will come back sometimes with a vengeance, or they will appear as new symptoms. So what we do, again, is focus on these underlying causes of disease and also provide some intelligent relief care if needed. So here's how it works. You have distress. It comes in those different forms: mental, emotional, things you perceive as bad, biomechanical, and trauma. Certainly, we fall down and go boom. But this is an area here, this biochemical, physiological. That's where we can run our labs and find out what's really wrong. What are the healing opportunities? And of course, we have the time-tested natural therapies that restore normal function. So what happened? Look at the function circle in the middle. It's back to normal. And obviously then the body returns to a state of ease and symptoms simply disappear for the most part. Complaints are often permanently resolved. And a question I get asked all the time is, have you seen people really, really get better when they had something kind of bad going on? Absolutely. Even if they've had some medical diagnoses, depending on what that diagnosis is. And that's very true when you know which steps to take. So we're going to cover that. And again, I'm moving fast here because I want to give you so much. So basically, stress is any influence, internal, external. It's distress. Distress is any influence, internal, external, that causes or leads to malfunction. It could be mental, emotional, like all these things here. I know we each have some of those. And then it could be the physical, biomechanical. This is trauma. This is weakness. This is poor posture. This is accidents that happened to you, some of them maybe 10 years ago that you never really fixed what's going on. This is why I work with chiropractors and acupuncturists and people and physical therapists, physio, and these sorts of things. And of course, then my favorite area, because this is what I've researched and studied for so long, is the hidden stressors. It's all the chemical, biochemical, and functional things going on. I love this picture by M.C. Escher with the layers. It's layers of stuff. And you have to be a good health detective in order to start sorting it out. And I've created a system to do that. What you got to understand is that since we just showed you that symptoms are the last thing to occur in a disease process, because the stress and imbalances in one area of the body, however they come in, if not soon resolved, they cascade into other areas, causing serious dysfunction sometimes. And that's what leads to the disease and the symptoms. So on the left, we see this 3 rivers coming into one river. That could be, you've got some mental, emotional stress, some physical trauma built up in your body. You've got some biochemical things, interferences, whether it be, parasites, bacteria, fungus, food sensitivities, environmental pollutants. So there's a lot of stuff pouring in the body. Now, it doesn't affect everyone the same way. Some people are more resilient. They have better detoxification systems, whatever it might be. These stressors come in and they tumble downstream. And the symptom appears, in one person it might appear in their joints, the next person it's migraine headaches. The exact same types of stressors. So we're all really different. And that's why in FDN, we work upstream. We go upstream and try to remove the interferences. It's a very neat thing. So this is the big picture. Symptoms can be really far removed, as we've seen, from the actual causal factors or the stressors. And what's typical about our system today, Pedram, this is no news to anyone on this webinar, I get it, but I got to emphasize, symptoms are just what you see on the surface. That's the pimple, and you can sort of scrape it off, but you need to get to the cause, whether it be hormonal and bacterial and all these different things. Whether it's those migraine headaches or the achy joints or the diarrhea, or the constipation, the sleeplessness, the fatigue, and all the things. That's just the symptom. Down below is where the real problem is. It's stress-related dysfunction. Now, listed here on the right, I'm not going to read all these things, but every single thing on there can be detected with just a couple labs, some saliva, some urine, some stool, and maybe a little blood. But it's not hard to figure out when you have a step-by-step system. That's what we offer. Now, let me tell you what stress does. I'm going to just go into a case study here in a minute. So we're going to talk about a lady who had some serious problems that were completely resolved. But before I do that, I got to show you what stress really does to the hormones. This is something we promised in the 3 bullet points in the invitation to this webinar. So we have some dynamics, certainly, and hormones are huge. They're a big part of the stress cascade. And they mess up a lot of things. I'll show you more in a minute. So we have, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this. Okay. So the top green box, you see pregnenolone. It's kind of a master hormone. It turns into DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone, the other green box there. And that has, they're called metabolites. They're just products of DHEA. They're called testosterone and estrogen, the male and female sex hormones. So they're made from DHEA, which is made from pregnenolone, which is made from basically cholesterol and some B vitamins. And of course, the way we make things in our body is very complex, but this is pretty cool. Pregnenolone to DHEA to your sex hormones. And if that's all pregnenolone had to do, that's the big granddaddy hormone. You'd probably be okay. But guess what? Pregnenolone is used by other areas of your body, especially the adrenals, to make cortisol. And so cortisol is basically considered your stress hormone. It also has to do with some kidney function and metabolite or electrolyte levels. We're not going to go there. We're just going to say that, look, pregnenolone has some other branches of the tree that it must supply this basic substrate, pregnenolone. There's other organs and cells that use it to make things. And so what happens in stressful situation, and I'm just going to answer the question myself because I want to keep moving here. But in stressful situations, cortisol, you see the red box there, it usually goes up. And the only way it's going to go up is, and be able to stay up, is that you're going to have to steal some pregnenolone into that pathway. So this is known as cortisol shunt, cortisol escape kind of a thing. So in stressful situations, and again, we've already seen we have mental emotional stress, trauma, we have environmental stressors and things. There's a lot of stress, whether you know it or not. There's things working against you. And so you're going to start stealing pregnenolone to make cortisol. Typically, the initial stress response, if you're getting, if you get cut off in traffic, if your boss yells at you, if you have an argument with your spouse, or if your kids are bad and different things, not to mention if you eat something that you're sensitive to, or you got parasite, you have constant 24-hour-a-day stress. We do get into this situation. So I will have to ask you, Doc, if someone is stealing a lot of pregnenolone over to the left into the cortisol pathway, what could possibly happen with their DHEA and sex hormones?
It's not pretty. It's funny that I have a lot of these mid-50s triathletes that come in and they look like chiseled specimens, and they come into the clinic. We'll run some blood work and some just some basic labs. It'll be like, oh, and then the first thing I'll say is like, hey, you're not getting erections, are you? Your little life is challenged, isn't it? And they'll look at me like they saw a ghost. And be like, how did you know? Because their outer edifice is just such a show. And it's just like, no, man. Inside, all this stuff is really off.
Yeah, it's really off. And thank you for that, because it just illustrates how prevalent this is and how it becomes pretty obvious when you know some of this stuff. So with low DHEA, if pregnenolone's all getting sort of shifted left, then the area below it, your DHEA, which is a major anabolic steroid that helps build your body up. It helps you build protein, helps you build muscle, it helps you make other protein. It really helps your body. You need DHEA, and two of the main things it helps make is testosterone and estrogen. And how many people are walking into their doctor's office with symptoms associated with low testosterone, like you mentioned, erectile dysfunction and this thing and that thing, and you're low energy and you're fatigued, and you can't gain any muscle, and you're just not the man you used to be, if you ever were. And then of course women with their early menopause, they're 39, 42, 40, and it's like they're missing periods, or their periods are getting, and they just have, again, the whole thing going on. So the typical response would be to do what? Well, here's your testosterone gel, or here's your estrogen patch, or prescription kind of a thing. It does, and it might give you some relief. Back to relief care. It's never, a horrible thing, but does it do anything to restore the pathways, to remove the stressors, to fix things back to the way they should be? Well, of course, we know it doesn't. And so that's really critical thing to get, that stress really beats up your hormone pathways. And you can get symptoms, and if you only treat them, you're not really fixing things. So word to the wise there. Now, one of the most critical ratios we can look at on a simple saliva test is this cortisol to DHEA ratio. If cortisol is up high because of the shunt of pregnenolone, then your DHEA is going to be low for the most part. That's called being in a catabolic state. Cortisol is catabolic. It will break your body down. Those runners that are coming in your office, doc, who look pretty chiseled, they tend to me to be thin, a little muscle wasting, and their skin never looks like, always looks a few years older than what it actually is. And so that's because they're in this catabolic hormone, the breaking the body down, basically to make blood sugar. It's working against them. They don't have a good cortisol to DHEA ratio. It's critical. You want to be more in an anabolic state, building up. So there's other ratios too. We won't go into all the details. Progesterone to estrogen, testosterone to estrogen. These are pretty critical things that, again, a simple saliva test can tell you what's going on. Now, the reason I started there, and if you look at the center of this group of circles, you see cortisol to DHEA ratio or balance. Well, both those are made in the adrenal glands. And I'm not a big proponent of, it's just adrenal fatigue, just adrenal fatigue. You can't really fix the adrenals if they are fatigued without getting rid of there's no magic pills or any of that stuff. What you have to realize is that is part of the stress cascade. This bad cortisol to DHEA ratio, and the adrenals are involved, will affect almost everything else in your body. Here's the direct lines of communication. On the lower right-hand side, and again, I won't go over every circle, but on the lower right-hand side, we see endocrine function. So if you have bad cortisol to DHEA ratio, a lot of stress, it could throw off your blood sugar levels. The pancreas produces too much insulin or not enough insulin. The thyroid is off. The thyroid, of course, there's 40 million people with thyroid dysfunction. But what caused it? Are you just going to take your thyroid medication? Or are you going to maybe look into what you could do to improve your body? Same thing with ovarian and testicular hormone levels. On the top right, we see memory and learning, quality of sleep and mood, all kinds of things. Very top left over here, again, carb metabolism. As we swing around counterclockwise, detoxification capacity is affected. And then the bottom middle, fat and protein metabolism, weight and fat distribution. Mucosal surface integrity means your immune system's off. We know that high stress can affect your immunity and you get sick more often and things like that. But there's actually real science and physiological reasons, and you can look at it. You can discover what the opportunities are for healing. So the other thing I wanted you to notice real quickly is that these are double-pointed arrows. So it isn't just the cortisol, DHEA, and the adrenals. Once it starts throwing off its dysfunctional cascade, remember that stress cascade, to one area, well, that area is going to feed back, and then it's going to shoot over to another area. It's just really an amazing thing when we look at steroid hormone balance and all the different things that are affected. So people come to us with these complaints, and they usually have been going on for a long time and bother them very often. They'll say, yeah, I have migraines twice a day, 4 days a week. Or I'm tired like every single day, or whatever. So, and it's been going on for 2, 5 years, sometimes 12 years or more, depending on how old they are. And it's usually gotten worse and worse. And so, and they've been through that cycle of seeing the doctor and nothing's wrong, or they just write prescriptions and, God forbid, maybe want to cut some parts out. And, not to be hard on doctors, because some people might need some of that. But remember, they're tired of going through this cycle of, one sort of, mindset on, diet, exercise, and modalities, trial and error on supplements, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. We want to be the last person that they have to go see. That was my mission 15 years ago when I started, was I don't want these people to, who are telling me they've been to 7 people, to have to go to the next guy down the road. So I created this system of functional lab testing to identify malfunctions and healing opportunities within these main systems: hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, environmental pollutants, and neurotransmitter levels. And I call it the HID. That's kind of just lined up as HIDDEN, and they actually are hidden. So it worked out that way. Hidden stressors and dysfunctions at the root of most common health complaints. So again, we're the detectives. We use lab tests that we try to select. I don't own any stock in a lab company. I just have purveyed a lot of them and try to find the sort of most effective for the money kind of lab testing, and things that are easy to do at home and ship kits all over the world. So that's step one. Step one is this lab testing. We got to do our assessments. You got to let us work with you. But I need to caution you that there's an awful lot of people jumping in the lab testing game. It's just left and right. There's new labs coming up all the time, and there's people who say, "Well, I run labs," and a lot of people that never ran them. Again, all of a sudden they're starting to run them now. And so almost anyone can order a lab test, but most of them are doing it based on the symptoms, and guess what they're treating? The test results. They go, "Oh, look." They might even use one or two of the same labs I run, but they look at the results differently. They go, "Oh, look, your cortisol's low. Here's some things to raise it." Or, "Oh, look, here's your cortisol's high. Here's something to lower it." Or anything else. Again, it's back to the just treat the test results. "Oh, that's low. Yeah, you need some. Take some." That doesn't work. It works. If it works at all, it works temporarily on the symptom. So it's not just that you can run labs that matters. You really need the system. Sometimes doctors ask me and other practitioners, "Hey, I have a client with XYZ. What lab should I run?" And I go, "Well, I don't know what's causing XYZ. So which lab wouldn't you run if you have this comprehensive approach?" That's really critical. So step one is run some labs. Let me give you a case study so you really get a handle on this. And we had a client, Allison, 39-year-old female executive. Main complaint, MC's main complaint was sleep, and obviously fatigue, and foggy thinking, and low libido. And that sucks for everybody, no matter who you are. We ran 5 labs on her. Easy to do. We found a lot of dysfunction. I'm going to jump to the next slide. You can come back. We're going to send out recordings of this to everybody, and so you can come back and read the slides later. The first test we run is a saliva test called the adrenal stress profile and all those sex hormones. It's everything I just showed you on the schematic chart. We check out for adrenal dysfunction, circadian rhythm problems, and all these different things. This gives us a real snapshot of how beat up they are, how much work it might be to do, and insights on what else is really wrong. It guides therapies and points to the next level of investigation. Now, this is where it might get a little confusing, and forgive me. I'm just sort of going to ask you to trust me here that this lady's morning cortisol was elevated, so she's all stressed out. And yet by afternoon, it's actually too low. Why? Because her ability to adapt to stress has been diminished for all the different things going on in her body. She can't handle it anymore, and that's why she's suffering so much. And then we had her actually, because she was waking up in the middle of the night, we had her, when she woke up, give us some more saliva, and sure enough, her cortisol was very high. You see the range here is 1 to 3, and she was at 3.2, so over the reference range, telling us that there's something causing her cortisol. Now, would you just give her something to lower it? No, I'd find out why it's high. It could be blood sugar levels, it could be poor diet, it could be parasite, it could be all these things. But we're getting an assessment here and shaping up a picture, a clinical picture, that's going to be helpful. Well, actually, that one was the before bed, and this is the one that was 2 to 4 a.m. Real high. So no wonder she's waking up. You can't, when your cortisol is high, it's going to drive blood sugar up, and you're going to wake up. You might even feel like fully awake. Not a good thing. Cortisol some was too high, but yet there's that. If you look at the DHEA, it's really, really low. So here's someone with that real high cortisol to DHEA ratio. It should be maybe a 5 or 6. It's 29. That's 5 times what it should be. So she's in that classic situation of stress has really kind of ruined her hormones, and that tells us what we can do. There's therapeutic. That's guidance. That guides our next step. And she obviously correlates very high with this. If I just saw this and didn't know the person, I would say this person has sleep problems. They're going to be tired in the day. And like Pedram said, sometimes you just go for it. You go, look, your sex life isn't very good either, you know, and it's right. So we use it to do things, and it would point us to the next test, which is that urine test. Now, the urine test, again, is easy to do. It looks at other factors that are critical. Are you breaking down food and absorbing it? Do you have too much toxicity in your body? Are your detoxification organs working well, especially the liver? This test is a direct measurement of liver function. If that's not working good, you're not detoxifying. Your body's going to be full of toxins, and that's easily measured. And the fact that it tells us, are you assimilating food, is just critical, because you're not what you eat. You're what you digest and absorb. Critical test, and this person had 2 markers that were not right. And again, so this tells us that we need to fix her gut. But in the meantime, even just to make her feel better, support digestion. She needs to eat some extra protein. She needs some antioxidants to fight the pro-oxidative things going on in her body, and do some liver flushing and support. And it points to another area of investigation, what's going wrong: overgrowth, dysbiosis, probably leaky gut and mucosal problems. The other thing that's critical, this is why I say we don't treat test results, we treat the person. The clinical correlation on this is that when we told her, well, you're not breaking down food, and your gut looks like it's pretty dysfunctional here, and your liver's not working so good, detoxify. She goes, oh, well, I do have digestive troubles. See, so it wasn't in her list of main complaints, because we don't let them list everything. It's just, what's the main things? She goes, oh, yep, I do have digestive. Well, it's no surprise to us. Another test we do is we look at the health of the lining of the small intestine. And let me just tell you that that's critical in terms of, again, absorbing nutrition, but also fighting bacteria and different things coming down the pipes. And it's actually pretty intricate. The lesson on this is one of my favorites. We call it Module 6 in our course. And but basically, your mucosal barrier is why a dog can drink dirty water and not get sick. You can too. You can ingest a lot of bad things if you have a really healthy mucosal barrier. So there's a test that tells us exactly how well it's working. And that's an area that we could work on. This person was basically all aflame. Nothing really working right, and leaky gut. The villus atrophy, all the little fingers inside the gut were, atrophied, and things like that, not going very well. Now I'm looking at the time, and I'm realizing that, I love teaching so much, but I got to move on. Another test, of course, it's the GI pathogen screening. This is another test. Like the previous one was saliva. One before that was urine. One before that was saliva. So all easy to do at home, right? And this one is too. It's a stool test. It's really not that hard to collect some stool. You put it in the tubes, you mail it off to the lab, and we find bugs in people. Now, my theory's always been that it's not the bug, it's the health of the host that's in question. So a bug might come to me, and my body kills it. But it might come to you, and your body doesn't kill it. Matter of fact, it sets up shop, and it starts living there and inviting neighbors and friends in, cousins come, and they really stink up the place, So we do run pathogen screening, and we coach down the bugs, get rid of them, but we really coach up your immunity and the ability to defend yourself down the road. This person had some parasites and bacteria overgrowth as well. So another thing we have to do to heal the gut is the foods testing. There's different ones available depending on where in the world you live, and we're looking for inflammatory foods. Inflammation is a huge cause of disease and a big part of the stress cascade. So these 5 labs really form a neat system of looking at lots of stuff to get your arms around to make improvements in your health or in your client's health. Now, so we run our labs, and step 2 is to come up with a plan. Now, this is the beauty of this, DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplements. This can all be customized for that individual. And it's so successful. This has really been the trick. Again, anyone can run labs. It's the interpretation that needs to be right. And then the protocols have to be right for that individual. Don't treat the test results, treat the person. This has been so successful, I had to protect it with a trademark. And so only certified FDNs can use this, but it's an amazing step-by-step process, and or at least laying out the plan, and then guess what's next? You got to follow the plan. So we have we coach all of our trainees and graduates know not only how to run the labs, which labs to run, how to interpret them, how to correlate it with each person, how to develop an individualized plan, but how to coach a person for 3, 6, 12, 18 months. I mean, you just don't know how long it's going to take to really fix some people. And it's not, here, take this for 2 months, call me in 6 months, let me know how you're doing. It's let's work together. Let's make and keep appointments with each other. Let's check progress and conformity with the instructions and what we found. And let's get all your questions answered. The real critical thing is that it's not like I say at the bottom of the screen here, there is no powerboat to health. It's really like sailing a ship. There's currents in the water. There's changes in the wind and things. And the boat might be a piece of junk or something. But we have to really guide and course correct along the way. And so if you're willing to give us honest feedback, we're willing to give it right back to you and hold each other accountable. It's a very beautiful system. Now, this is the end result with Allison. You may not get this, but her results were just about picture perfect. I'm not a big guy for, you have to be here, optimum levels, things like that. We get everybody in the ballpark and we see how they're doing. So she was completely improved. If you notice, this one doesn't have the middle of the night because she wasn't waking up anymore. So the therapeutic guidance you get from this is, look, keep managing your stress through a Dress for Health Success program. For how long? For the rest of your life. You're always in a process. And so she said that, she was going crazy with fatigue. I won't read this whole thing, but she was really kind of going crazy. And when she did our program, she turns out to have much more energy in the day. She functions like a normal human being again. And her digestive problems and her low libido and her all these things went away. And so this is what I also have to say is that we don't guarantee results for anyone. I tell people, look, I have a system in which you'll find very reasonable expectations. If you'll run the labs and do the protocol, again, no guarantees, but very reasonable expectations, you're going to get healthier. Things are going to improve. You may completely clear up whatever it is you're complaining about. And so what I wanted to show you tonight, I think we've gotten this is not the course. The course is like 30 hours of training. I just gave you an overview of what it's like to be a health detective, the mentality of being a health detective, and some of the tools that we use. There really is this step-by-step course of investigation, and it's one of the most highly recommended in the world now. We identify hidden stressors, malfunctions at the root of most health problems that you or your clients are facing, and we have the proven protocols that work directly on the healing opportunities. And it's probably what a lot of you who are professionals thought you may never be able to do, but I guarantee you can. So these are the choices we give people. You're either going to, you as a professional or you as a person, you need to learn to identify and act upon those healing opportunities. You do a customized DRESS program, or guess what? You're going to be in that trial and error, supplements, drug surgery, and that sort of a thing. And I hope you see that you can work this into your life or practice. Nothing else is really proven to work quite the way that this does. And again, you don't have to develop or invent anything. Just duplicate what's really worked well for me and a lot of other people. So there's 2 ways to do FDN. And this is where some of you who are just only interested in self-care can part with us. You can do FDN, or you can become an FDN practitioner. And you can still do it on yourself. So if you are interested in learning more, and no commitments to anything, won't spend a penny to find out, I'm giving you a gift tonight if you're a self-care seeker, and that is a free consultation. You go to www.fdnselfcare.com/well, as in well.org, but FDN Self-Care. And I want to thank you so much for coming to the webinar. I know I rushed through. I know I gave you a lot of stuff, but I do have time limits. So I really appreciate you being here. Now, for those that are practitioners or think you want to be a practitioner, if you want to learn how to become a health detective, stay with us. There is a site called fdntraining.com, and you might just want to go check that out. But hold on, and this is why. I want to tell you that it's truly a transformational system. You will come in and you will be empowered to run the correct labs that will get to the root cause of your clients. If you're a personal trainer, health coach, nutritionist, chiro office, acupuncturist, everyone needs this. My medical director, Dr. Bailey, I've been working with for 14 years, almost since I started. And we hit it off right away. He's one of those brilliant osteopathic physicians. He's helped me develop FDN. He has checked me out every step of the way. And he said, now, just the other day, he said, maybe a couple of months ago, he goes, you know what? There should be one FDN for every 3 doctors. Now, I think maybe there should be one doctor for every 3 FDNs. But the truth is, if there was an FDN for every 3 doctors, that means at your local hospital, there'd probably be 40 FDNs. You know, if they have 120 doctors. If they have 1,000 doctors, there'd be 300 FDNs. Do you know what that would mean to the world? I mean, and what would it be like if we actually were helping people get to the root cause and just doing healthier stuff? It'd be just incredible. So before you go run and sign up, because the course, I'm going to make you a special offer, so hang on, but I also have to say that we don't take this to anybody. You have to answer yes to these 5 questions. So I'll run through them. Do you have a strong desire to help people really get well? Do you want to expand your business or practice or start one? Are you willing to be a model for what you're selling? Because you got to walk the talk. Dr. Pedram will tell you, you can't share it if you don't wear it. You got to be willing not to be perfect, but to be in your own process. You also obviously have to recognize the need to invest in your business, and you have to say, yes, I'm not a whiner. And by the way, if you answer yes to those 5 questions, you're already a winner, and you're going to be successful at whatever you do. So you would qualify for our program. I'm also going to tell you that we offer, it's like so complete that you don't have to buy a bunch of other stuff or anything else. It's 24/7 access. There's webinars, there's videos and audios, course guide slides. We have a quick start guide. There's quizzes and exams and things like that. I have mentors on 3 continents. These are people who worked for me almost since the beginning, like you know, people who faithfully meet all that criteria I just went over and can teach you the system we've developed over all these years. You get over 10 hours of personal consultation and like going over your test results, your protocol. We do practical exercise. We help you with your first 2 clients. It's an immersion thing. It's everything you need, documents, product accounts, lab accounts, everything. If you don't have any lab accounts now, if you're an unlicensed practitioner, don't worry. This is what hooks you up. And my support team, of course, research and development, executives and stuff. I have an amazing team of people. An advisory board second to none, and a community. You're not just out there on your own. We meet every week. I do this blog talk radio show for Q&A that's so much fun. Community around the world. They're all archived, so if you can't make the call, you can listen in. We have you do that. We have affiliate programs, and you get a website listing and all these different things. It's really a neat community, and it integrates with anything that you're doing now. If you're a personal trainer, health coach, nutritionist, and all these things, it's so easy a caveman could do it, and I prove that every day. More features and benefits. We're members of all kinds of things. You can even get professional development credits. And Dr. Pedram, you might be interested in this. We recently were certified by the National Commission, Certification Commission of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine for PDCs. That's an amazing accomplishment for us. We've only been around 6 years, but we just have reached that level of recognition. So we provide you with this business model, and it's very highly sought after by good friends of mine, and some of these people you probably recognize. Also, other programs are even recommending us. And here's the deal, because we're winding down to the hour mark, and I promised not only Pedram but my girlfriend that we would be done at 6 o'clock. And so we're doing perfect. I got through it in an hour, 55 minutes. We'll spend a couple of minutes here going over what it costs, what our special offer is. The course right now is $34.95, and people are telling me I'm giving it away for that. It's so heavy on support and the process and the practicals and working with your mentor. It's not just an information product; it's a transformational product. Dr. Pedram asked me to give you a discount, so I'm allowing for $500 off to use the well.org webinar discount. That brings your tuition down to under $3,000. I'm going to include some bonuses like that mentoring program, which I could easily charge for, and other programs do. A business development lesson. I'll even give you my stress and hormones lecture, so you can go out in the public and lecture on stress and hormones. Kind of go over what we did today with the hormone charts and graphs and things. I'll give you that so you can start building your business right away. And it's only $29.95. Payment plans are available. Price is subject to change because what happens is this thing, people record it and then they put it up on a website and someone watches it 2 years from now and they go, hey, the price was only such and such. The price is going to go up because we keep adding to it and growing. And so anyway, it's subject to change. But right now it's $29.95 to you with the discount. All you need to do is go to fdntraining.com, click on the Register Now button, and if you want the discount and all the bonuses, use the code WELL500. Now, I could only extend this for a short period of time. There are literally hundreds of people listening to this now. We had over 2,000 registrants for this webinar, and everybody's going to get a copy if they weren't able to attend. And so this is going to go out, and I'm only going to be able to hold that open until next Tuesday. And I know there's some questions, but and maybe Dr. Pedram would honor me by having me back for a Q&A sometime. But you can go to that website now, fdntraining.com, use the coupon, and get in before the deadline. Again, because I can only take so many people at that price. So, Dr. Pedram, I want to thank you so much for allowing me to do this and to talk to your wonderful listeners. Again, I'm a loyal follower myself of well.org. I bought a lot of copies of your video Vitality, and I've been giving those away to my friends and students and family and stuff. It's an amazing video. If you guys listening haven't watched that, buy a few copies to hand out because we all need to be on the same team. It's all about putting a community together and a movement. We can make the world a healthier place and have fun doing it. So thanks again, Doc.
Hey, thanks for being here. And just so people know, I mean, I've kind of been watching what's happening in the industry, and some of the most impressive graduates I've encountered have been people that have come through your education, and that's really how you and I got to talking. I said, wow, man, a lot of your graduates know more than 60% of the traditional doctors that I work with up and down these corridors that are absolutely clueless to this stuff. So there's a serious education and knowledge gap, and guys, if you're still listening, they're doing some great work at FDN, and so if you want to level up, if you're in the business and you want to work better with clients, this is something that I highly recommend. And if you're just trying to take care of yourself, then there was the option to just kind of go in and get your own workup done. But either way, I mean, knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better off you're going to be and all the people in your life are going to be. So we're just trying to, open up this type of information to our audience because, like we said in the movie, it's about lifestyle, but it's also about understanding that there's a lot of new things in the science out there that we now understand, and the medical industry is like 20 years behind in a lot of ways. And so, do you want to spend 20 years suffering until some doctor has an aha moment, or do you want to work with people that already kind of get it? So there's a huge gap in the space, and I think that this is the type of information that is really missing. So Reed, thanks for doing what you do. You're doing great work, and I'd like to, maybe even get a list of your practitioners, so if we want to recommend them to people, out there in the universe. We got a lot of sick people that are looking for solutions and keep running out of places to look because they get bad advice, and to me that's really sad.
Thank you so much. I'm more than willing to do that. Let's sign off. We did it in exactly an hour as prescribed, so I'm really tickled. It's one of the most fun hours that I've had since the last webinar I did. So thank you again. Thanks everybody. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording, and we'll talk to you soon. Looking forward to working with you.